I'm Carolyn Cooke. I'm a professor in the Master of Fine Arts, Interdisciplinary Arts programs at CIIS, and I'm a novelist, essayist, short story writer.
I'm Brian Swimme. I'm in the Philosophy, Cosmology, and Consciousness program here at the California Institute of Indigo Studies. Great to be here. That's very good, very good. And we don't have to be all that concise.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We can ramble a little bit. I can start off and just say that one of the motivating ideas for me was that philosophy is a colossal failure in our time. It's a long tradition, it's got a lot of great thinkers in it, but it failed to alert humanity to the ecological crisis we're in. And there are reasons for that, but it became so abstract. It became linguistic, mathematical, logical, and there are certain wonderful things about that, but it left out something really important. Human experience. Now I'm talking about Anglo-American philosophy. Just in general, I think we have to admit it's been a colossal failure. It's supposed to be guiding us. It's supposed to be providing us with wisdom for how to organize a civilization. Massive failure. So I was just deeply excited when Carolyn Cooke came to the California Institute, because she's a writer, she's a novelist. And the idea of bringing together wisdom with human experience that was my motivation for the whole thing.
And it was really a profound opportunity for me. I hadn't expected it. I wasn't probably even aware of this dramatic failure of philosophy, but I was disenchanted with the possibilities for the contemporary novel. Even though there are lots of contemporary novels, there are lots of novels every year I feel excited about reading, or particularly works that interrupt the genre a little bit and take it out of what I would now think of as the industrial mode. And I've always been deeply interested in the way that language can help us access deeper understanding of kind of where we are and how we are, but I think I only really knew to tell stories of human existence on what I guess I would think of as the plane of reality. I'm not really interested in making things up. I'm interested in observing them, but I'm not a scientist. And so when I heard Brian speak about the forces of the universe and the powers of the universe and the powers of the cosmos, and to kind of connect us to larger surges of power in this place where we live, and to expand our idea of this place where we live, there was sort of no going back. And the other aspect that was really exciting was that Brian is an amazingly insightful reader of literature and reads with a larger mind and eye. And it's like there's one eye that's sort of trained on the words and another eye that's kind of trained on the largest ideas imaginable. So our courses started as a series of conversations in the cafe at California Institute of Integral Studies where we teach. And they were just incredible conversations, and along the way a few students started to kind of adhere and it's just kind of grown, this conversation. To the extent that we now have students writing works that we call works of autocosmology, which are kind of an embodiment of that relationship between literature and philosophy and a sense of human experience in relation to the whole of things, which was Brian's invention in a book he's working on now called Stars on the Salish Sea, which maybe we can talk about a little bit.
Yeah, but I love the way you said it when you're talking about the space we live in, And I think that goes right at And you were indicating it's too small, you know, with your hands like that. And that, I think that gets right at the heart of what we're about. So that the, I criticize philosophy as a massive failure. Well, it's also, the same criticism can be directed against a great deal of what science has become. You know, I come out of science, so I love science, but the, just this notion that the universe is composed of inert stuff. It's just neutral, inert, indifferent stuff. That notion which is pervasive in the industrial world, that keeps us in this little realm, you know, so that if I'm you know, writing about human experience, then it's stuffed into just human interactions. It's about falling in love, it's about a divorce, it's about going to war against some other humans. And then the vastness of the universe is left out. And why shouldn't it be left out? If it's all just mechanical stuff, why pay attention to it? You see, so that the that scientific view, the reductionist scientific view of the universe just being a machine, was absorbed by almost everyone in the industrial world. And so the novelists and the writers increasingly talked about it, this little world. And so what we're attempting to do is to explode that little world, and to explore the way in which human experience it has a cosmic dimension. I mean, even to say cosmic dimension sounds unhinged, but we do have a cosmic dimension. We're composed of stars, and that exploring that is what we've been attempting to do.
I think it's more a lens. I think it's a way of looking at the world that is reflected in works that are consciously aware of how much can be evoked through the experience of an individual consciousness that's aware, consciously self-aware of the universe around it and the larger world. And that's sort of taking pains in the way that we take pains as artists to render it precisely with a kind of rigorous precision. Again, you know, I think of Chris Kraus. What's so wonderful in I Love Dick doesn't come through in the television series, unfortunately, but it comes through in the book that that life is just coursing through her, and insight is coursing through her as a result of what you call in the Radiance lecture, like a glance, you know, the power of a glance to like change your life, that we're so charged. Our lives are like the tips of icebergs, and we walk around with just the surface, you know, exposed. But if you just sort of tap it, everything shatters, and we see the immensity of our own significance in this larger world. So I think we're kind of the curators. Like, we're choosing works that we think do that in some way, and that invite our students to try that themselves in some way. So I think it's more a lens. And I was saying reading D.H. Lawrence through the lens of homeostasis was so much more interesting than reading Lawrence through the lens of, you know, a sort of narrow, feminist, critical perspective, which is worthy in itself. Just to take that out of the equation one time was a little bit life-changing for me.
I love that. And I love the way you said you have this image of an iceberg, and then you tapped it, and then you just said one little tap, and then the magnificence shows. I think that would be a great image for what we're trying to do. And that I guess the way I'd say it is that with a modernist lens, it really has blinkers.
Yeah.
And so that it keeps us from noticing some amazing things. So like the one thing we have learned by reflecting on experience is that the light from the beginning of time is here, and we can measure it. And we put that into a quantitative form, mathematics and science, right? The poets and the writers aren't thinking about that, right? They're like, why bother thinking about the universe? But what will happen when creative writers take in the fact that they're in a mysterious way, they're at the birth of the universe?
Right.
What does that feel like?
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
And it's so that it's, I mean, I think there's one of the things I love about the autocosmological lens is that it's really an open invitation. To reflect on the way in which we're at the birth of the universe, reflect on the way in which the elements of the stars are coursing through our veins. Who knows what will be experienced, and what will be given birth to. But I just love that. It's like a tap, and suddenly the magnificence shows itself.